There we go, and I see there's a couple of people in here already. John McJunkin is here. Kay Munin is here. Glad to see you guys. There's Granny Smith. There's Little Girl. And of course, there's Monkey sitting on top of a pile of records on top of my printer. Because I haven't soldered him yet, and I guess I won't get a chance to if he's going to lay there all day. And yeah, so a little bit of backdrop here. Yesterday I did this. Yesterday I did this section, which was supposed to be the sequel to this section, which of course is the Saturday morning and after school and holiday special DVDs that we looked all through. Did that last week, and I said I'd get to more because people asked. And I did this one yesterday, and there's Josh joining us today. I did this one yesterday, and it disappeared completely. Disappeared completely from YouTube. No explanation whatsoever. Some kind of glitch. And of course, Microsoft did have another crash yesterday that affected Google, so that could have something to do with it. I don't know. But it disappeared, and I had a lot of people that are like, oh, it was in my watch list, or, what happened to this? And regardless of how many people you have on the stream, the majority of views come after the fact. So if I have like 40 people pop in here during the live stream, that doesn't mean it's 40 views. In a couple of days, there could be 400 or 500 views because people watch it after the fact. They're like, oh, I don't have time to pop in for the live, so I'll go ahead and catch it later. And there was no later. And I had some people ask if I could do it again. I don't mind. I don't mind. And if you were here yesterday and you just want to hang out and have some conversation, that's cool. And we'll run through it again. So, part two, and I'll turn the lamp lights back on here so we can see a little bit better. Somebody was telling me that these skip. I've only heard that from one person. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. But we're moving on here. This is started off over here. And Munin says, hopefully this doesn't go missing. And Aaron says, I hope the series of going through your physical media makes it to your music collection. Yes. Eventually, yeah. I mean, I'll dig through it. I got my private listening stash down there. And, oh, I can't read. Lee is here. Says amazing collection. Thank you. But yeah, I've got my private stash of records there that I have for my listening. You see I've got a little record player down there in the corner. And then we've got tons of them. We got thousands of albums. But I'm getting some glare there. But we did the Saturday morning and after school and holiday specials, and then moving on over here, which has some anime, some adult-oriented cartoons, and no, I don't mean pornography. Excuse me. Gerry Anderson, a big fan of Gerry Anderson. Some kung fu movies, some kaiju movies, so on and so forth. And of course, I do have some VHS sitting there, Multiplication Rock, Speed Racer, the animated, not the live action. And Munin says Funimation that brought out Dragon Ball DVDs was bought out by Crunchyroll. Okay. It figures. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started again here. And Robert says, "You on again?" Yes, we're. This video was lost. Something happened to it, so I'm doing it again. I've gotten some requests from people who did not get a chance to see this, and that squeaking is my chair. But starting off right there, that is the first anime I ever saw in theaters. Some artsy fartsy theater in Brookline, Massachusetts. And there's Lady Pop Hunter. It says hello to everyone in the room. Of course, that is my wife sneaking in. Blade, the animated series, made to look like an anime there. I have not ever seen this. I've never seen this, so I don't know if it's any good. Maybe somebody can tell me. The Boondocks, which is kind of a guilty pleasure because it could be. It didn't start out so much, but it got more and more vulgar. Unfortunately, that seems to be a trend with a lot of these shows. It gets more and more vulgar as time goes on, but it's still a fairly relevant show. Munin asked me yesterday if who's my favorite off of this. You know, now that I think about it, I can't remember his name. This guy, because of just the reality of it when he lost everything and he sat there and he said, I knew it wouldn't last, but I didn't think it would be so quick. But a lot of things were said on here that address certain social issues that you couldn't have done anywhere else. It makes for very interesting viewing. Clerks, the animated series, which is actually rather fun, even though it's literally only only like 6 episodes, and then the series was canceled. But it was actually kind of fun, and it reminded me sort of the original Clerks, which I thought was vibrant and funny and interesting. And yeah, Munin says it was Thugnificent. I couldn't remember. Uh, It was just interesting and well done. And then other films that they did, I thought were just vulgar and adolescent, including the sequel to Clerks, which I thought was horrible. They didn't need to do it. Jay Sherman's The Critic. This is fun. And as I mentioned before, this the Ted Turner type character is using a type of artificial intelligence. It wasn't called that, but he's using computers to alter films, which is something that's happening a lot now. Crying Freeman. And I don't know what's on this particular disc, though. Dilbert, the animated series. A lot of people don't even know that happened. It's Dilbert, the animated series. If you enjoyed reading the newspaper strips, you'll get a kick out of this. One season, just one season. I think it's 30 episodes. I think it's 30 episodes. Guest starring Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT and everything else. A lot of Dragon Ball there because I was getting them all. And I've watched everything here except for the Super. I have never seen Super. I've got part 1. I don't have part 2. So Dragon Ball, the original series with little kid Goku and little kid Krillin and little kid everybody. And this is my favorite, actually. I liked little kid Goku. It was funny and fun and original. And then you get into Dragon Ball Z, which is all 9 volumes here. And I liked it, but my problem with the Dragon Ball Z was the overpowering of everyone. And you just couldn't tell where everybody was at and what the hell the scales were. And it got weird. It got weird with all of that. How much power does who have and for how long and why? And I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened, but it's still a fun series. GT was okay. It wasn't as good as previous series, but it was okay. And then the movie packs. I've got 4 movie packs. And, you know, these are set like these are the Dragon Ball movies that go in between these seasons and so on. You know, and these go between the Dragon Ball Z seasons. And if there's more than these 4, I don't know, but I've got these 4. And then, of course, like I said, Super. And then there's Resurrection F, which I've never seen either. And there you go. Family Guy. I've got like the first 3 seasons there. I used to watch it. I used to like it. But like, again, as I pointed out with Boondocks, it got weird and vulgar it got weird and vulgar and kept going on, and I just didn't want to see it anymore. Just like South Park, and I had like seasons 1 through 16 of South Park, and I gave them away to my son. I sent them all to him because I couldn't get into it anymore. It was getting too hit or miss. Like for example, the one they did not too long ago with Macho Man was pretty good, but then the next two or three will be just disgusting to watch, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore. And of course, the Family Guy Star Wars parodies I've got in here, and then Fist of the North Star. Fist of the North Star. And that's not a DVD, but I'll show it. And that's the Star Trek photo novel number 9. And photo novel is, and I got to be careful with it because this one's never been really opened. You can see how tight that is. They took photographs from episodes and put word bubbles with the dialogue from the shows. So this is like a graphic novel, as it were, of this particular episode. These are pretty popular if you can find them. And I saw a couple of comments there. Let me check. And Munin says they became way stronger in Super. Have you seen Ultra Instinct? No. And Robert says Dragon Ball always confused me. How many power-ups were there? Too many. It gets weird, and then you don't know how to scale it anymore. That's the one thing that put me off with it. Futurama, and I've got volumes 1 through 7, and then the movie Bender's Big Score. And I used to enjoy this. And this was just same people that did The Simpsons. Same people that did The Simpsons. I liked Futurama. I don't know how it turned out after Volume 7, but whatever, because I haven't seen it in years. A couple of Marvel films, Hulk versus Wolverine and Hulk versus Thor, and you see the lenticular cover. Invincible, Iron Man, Planet Hulk. If they did these as, I know everybody's like, oh, they need to do those as live action. Well, sometimes things don't translate well from animation. That's why they haven't been able to get a Fantastic Four movie right. Keep in mind, this time around, it's going to be the 4th attempt at a Fantastic Four movie. Maybe 4's the charm. What do I know? Remember, the first one was in the 90s. Seriously. It was so bad, it went straight to VHS. Ren and Stimpy. Seasons 1 through 6, really, because this is the revision. This is the new episodes that never aired. Never aired. I used to watch this when it was still on television. Well, it was on cable, anyways, back when cable was a thing. Samurai Champloo. And I think Munin pointed out to me yesterday there's more than 3 volumes, but 3 volumes is all I have. I used to watch this as well. I used to watch Samurai Champloo. And then Samurai Jack, and I had pointed out last time, it doesn't want to come out, there it is, that this is the movie Samurai Jack, the premiere movie, and he reminds me of the samurai from The Tick, from the comic book series. And this was popular. This won an Emmy, I think. My only volume of The Simpsons, which is 6th season. The 6th season. And I probably could watch The Simpsons all the way up until Disney bought it and just kind of ruined it, quite frankly. SpongeBob, the 2nd season. And I've only really ever seen a few episodes of SpongeBob, so I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it, but I have seen a couple of episodes. It's another one I don't think was really for kids. And then the Clone Wars, and I have 2 copies of Volume 1 for some reason. I don't know why I have 2 copies of number 1, but I do. I forget where it came from. That's okay. Clone Wars was better than the Phantom Menace story run. The Tick animated series. And what was fun was The Tick, the live action, the original live action that had the guy who played Putty from the Seinfeld show, but they canceled it after like 9 episodes. It was pretty good. More Avengers films, more Marvel films, Ultimate Avengers and Ultimate Avengers 2. And one thing that I pointed out last time was that what I thought was really funny was when Giant Man showed up to try to handle the Hulk, and the Hulk leapt up and grabbed him around his neck and choked him unconscious. And Average Gamer says no South Park. No, I had volumes 1 through 16, and I gave them to my son. Gave them away. Muted says I'm missing 4 volumes of Samurai Champloo, and that they're dirt cheap. I might be able to find them. Okay. And Robert liked Samurai Jack, and he liked the Clone Wars, but he hated when they switched to CGI. Venture Brothers, which I thought was a fun, again, adult-themed cartoon series. This was fun. And it was a parody. For those of you who are not familiar, they tried to make it look like Johnny Quest, but more adult-themed. And Johnny Quest, the 60s Johnny Quest, 1967 Johnny Quest was the best. What's wrong, little girl? What's wrong? What are you doing? Go somewhere. There's Granny Smith still sitting there. The 67 Johnny Quest is brilliant. Brilliantly written. It's a great drama, action drama. The 80s Johnny Quest is trash. It's awful. It's hard to watch. The Venture Brothers followed that format, and I like how this looks like an Atari cartridge. But like most of these cartoons, when you get up here, see, this is seasons 4, volumes 1 and 2. By the time you get to season 4, volume 2, it is so raunchy and there's so much sex and weirdness. I probably, if I rewatched this, I would stop probably with season 4, volume 1. Because they did the same thing, you know, kept setting the bar low. And let me see here. Average says South Park episode where they're doing a parody of World of Warcraft is hilarious. World of Warcraft. Is that the one where they're all at Cartman's mom's house and she's like wiping their butts and stuff? And Munin says, YouTube timeline said I had 2 live streams. Yeah, it made a duplicate of this one for some reason. I just removed the other one. But it put 2 on there, and I don't know why. Another weird glitch. Marx Brothers collection movies. I'm a fan of the Marx Brothers. See? A Night at the Opera, Room Service, At the Circus, Go West. And it's the complete collection, but is it? Because we have the complete collection here as well. And unfortunately, there's 2 different studios, and they've never, as far as I know to this day, ever been able to cooperate with collaborating on a series. So you got to get 2 different box sets to get all the films. And the Animal Crackers, there it is, Animal Crackers, is very historically significant from this volume because it helped to spark some of the revolution of the 60s and 70s when it started playing in local theaters again, and people made the connection of what that movie was talking about, because Animal Crackers is a very political film, and it talks about government buying and selling its way through things and manipulating people. It's a very interesting plot. Let me see. Robert says he got the volume where they love Casa Bonita. Okay. And Average Gamer says, Mom, bedpan, because he couldn't get away from the game. That's right. He was like, I've got to go to the bathroom. Don't worry about it. My mom will handle it. Ray Harryhausen Legendary Monster Series. And this one I'm really happy about because this is not a cheap box set. But for those of you who weren't aware, Go look for DVDs in pawn shops. You see the prices there. And I bought this at this price, $1.99, because this had been sitting there for months. And I can't imagine. Not only is it classic Ray Harryhausen, but you know, you get 5 really good films here. But this is not a cheap box set. They didn't recognize it. A couple of Archies and Friends, they're sealed, and these are just, 4 hand-picked episodes from the original Archie series, which we showed last time, which is over here. The 60s and early 70s Filmation Saturday morning Archies, which is a fun show. Actually, I enjoyed those when my wife and I rewatched them. And for context, what the hell, there she is. If I can get it in frame, there we are. Can I get it in frame? Hold on a second. It's one of our wedding photos. And that's us all day. That's us all day. And then, of course, again, my Welcome Back, Kotter autograph. It's all 5 of them. Which you can't do anymore because 2 of them passed away, didn't they? I think Ron Palillo and Robert Hagees have both passed away, haven't they? And then my Star Trek Voyager. And that's all hand signed. It's a print, a limited number print, but it's all hand signed except for Ensign Kim. The guy who played Ensign Kim, I've never been able to catch up with him. I'll find him one of these days. And let me see here. Robert says that our collections look similar, minus a few DVDs. And he says, I wish I pick up Ray Harryhausen, the Blu-ray. I only have separate DVDs. And Robert said my hair was black. Well, it was darker. It was darker. It still had gray in it, but that's just the way it is. And Munin says the last time I went into a pawn shop, it was disgusting. Everything was dirty. Their movies were awful. To make it worse, they had no anime, of course. Well, I've had some good fortune in the pawn shops, and a lot of times just basic DVDs. The one near us, I mean, they were like 20 for $1. They just given them away. There wasn't much left that was any good, but And over here, some kung fu movies, and you see a lot of blue tags, and these came from Goodwill. I found them at Goodwill. It was Blue Day, so I got them really cheap, and I just grabbed them all because most of these are sealed. They were never opened. But just some fun stuff. My wife and I love our cheesy kung fu movies. Invincible, Shaolin, Wooden Men with Jackie Chan. I saw this one. Born to Defense. That was a really badly translated title. Martial Arts of Shaolin with Jet Li. Lord of Wu-Tang. Magnificent Bodyguards. I ended up with a couple of duplicates by accident. The Kid with the Golden Arm. Sounds like a baseball movie. Eagle's Claw. I think I've seen this one too. But we love this stuff. It's so cheesy and fun. The Fearless Hyena Part 2. And it's not the camera. The images are that blurry. And then Masters of Tiger Crane. And then this block. What do we got? Oh, let's see. Those are duplicates. Man with the Golden Arm. Born to Defense. And again, those are sealed. Double Dragon. It's not the Double Dragon I know. Double Dragon. It's The Last Duel. Magnificent Bodyguard again. And Aaron says 5 Deadly Venoms is a classic when I worked at a video store. Yeah, I've got that one. Showdown in Little Tokyo. A B film with Dolph Lundgren and Brandon before Brandon Lee became famous. He did a lot of bad films, Brandon Lee. And, of course, the one film that made him, he died in, unfortunately. Deadly China Hero. God. Double Dragon. Oh, it's a duplicate. Double Dragon again. Double Dragon. Black Mask with Jet Li. Meltdown. And then Black Eagle with Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then down here, there's your 5 Deadly Venoms. 5 Fingers of Death. Those are both really good. They're really good films. American Samurai is crap, but it's fun to watch. Action 4-pack with the octagon and a force of 1. Bloodsport, one of Van Damme's most famous films. Chinese Connection with Bruce Lee. I like Chinese Connection. Blood of the Dragon. Curse of the Golden Flower. Enter the Dragon. The film that really broke into Bruce Lee's career. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. Fearless. Fists of Fury with Bruce Lee. You know, the sad part is both Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, the big blockbuster film that cracked open a whole new window for them, is the film they both died on. Fist of Legend. Forbidden Kingdom. Hero. Hero was fun. In Hell. Van Damme, that's the one where he's in prison. And I was pointing out, I saw that movie for free because in Boston, when this film came out, they were giving away the tickets. It's not a good sign. Iron Monkey. Mr. Nice Guy. You know what's a good one? I don't know if I have it. Because we have other martial arts films. They're just in the other room. Or it's packed up because we've got tons and tons of DVDs. What's the name of it? Wheels on Meals. Wheels on Meals is a fun one. And Robert says Bruce Lee seemed like a bully to me. Yeah, there's a lot of horror stories about Bruce Lee. My Kingdom. Ninja Assassin. And you can't talk about it either because of the legend surrounding him. Once Upon a Time in China 3. Ong Bak Thai Warrior. This guy's really good. That's Tony Jaa. Project A2 with Jackie Chan. And Tony Jaa again in The Protector. This movie's a lot of fun. This is a really well done movie. Return of the Dragon. But yeah, back to Bruce Lee. Like, Quentin Tarantino tried to do that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And they did the scene with him fighting with the stuntman in that movie. That's based on a true story. And the stuntman that he was fighting with in real life was a mark hired by the studio to fight with Bruce Lee because he kept harming the stuntman. He was deliberately injuring stuntmen. And the studio was sick of it. Nobody wanted to work with him. Romeo Must Die. So they hired that guy who was a judo expert, and he beat Bruce Lee by grappling. He wrapped him up, and Bruce Lee couldn't get loose. And they came to an understanding after that, so the story goes. But yeah, he was notorious for injuring stuntmen, just like Steven Seagal, also notorious for injuring stuntmen. Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx. And this is the one where he broke his ankle. And he had a cast that looked like a sneaker, so that people wouldn't know. Samurai. Saving General Yang. The Secret of Shaolin Poles. I think I've seen that one too. Shaolin Challenges Ninja. it can get confusing because a lot of times they swap titles around, so you don't know what you're looking at. Uh-oh. I certainly don't know what I'm looking at here because this one doesn't even show you what the title actually is. Shaolin versus Lama. I want to say this is the one where they fight the East Indian guy who does all the yoga moves. It's really crazy. Twin Warriors. The Champions of Shaolin. Unleashed, and I really think that's Jet Li's best film, personally. Van Damme in what? Oh, Kickboxer, Replicant, and Universal Soldier, 3-disc set. Okay. Versus, and then The Wrath of the Varja is the last one in there. No, it's not. This is the Lone Wolf and Cub series, which I really love this series. It's so well done, and the choreography from Kill Bill, a lot of it was duplicated from this. And some of these are in with English dub, and some of these are not. And I forget which is which. But there's six of the Lone Wolf and Cub films in the box set there. And let me see. Catch up a couple of things. Munin says Miyamoto Musashi was an actual samurai in Japanese history. He made the two-sword style famous. Okay. And Eric Peters says, thanks for the live. I really enjoy the hangout. Well, thanks for joining us. Glad you get something out of it. And I skipped over the CDs, so I can get to that real quick. Because, you know, that's just a Mad Magazine. This is for the computer, which I can't even use anymore because computers don't have freaking disk drives anymore. Iron Butterfly, Led Zeppelin, Presence, right? Yeah, Presence. Led Zeppelin the second, Led Zeppelin the fourth. I want to say that's the fourth album. Physical Graffiti, their first album. Their last album, Coda, was their last album, and of course Coda means end. In Through the Outdoor, Aerosmith, Best of Aerosmith, Abbey Road, Jethro Tull, the Aqualung album, Nirvana's Nevermind, we'll just cover that up. The soundtrack from The Crow, great music on that. House of the Holy, Led Zeppelin the third. Those are all out of order. I gotta fix that. Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine, With Teeth, Run DMC, Greatest Hits. Cake, The Fashion Nugget, She Wants Revenge, and I pointed out before, this is what I'm looking for on vinyl. It's tough to find on vinyl. Aaron says I have cool taste in music. Well, I appreciate that. Stevie Wonder. My wife and I are both like this. We don't stick to a specific genre. We're not in a box. So rock, pop, yacht rock, rap, hip hop, country, you know, punk. We're all over the place. If it's good, we'll listen to it. Best of Blondie, Black Sabbath, the Paranoid album, Michael Jackson's This Is It, and these are that's a computer game. Lords of the Realm 2. I used to play on the computer way back in the day when they had those huge cathode ray monitors. Beatles Revolver, Beatles 1, Rubber Soul, another Abbey Road, and then Simon and Garfunkel. But yeah, our tastes are all over. You know, we're not in a box at all as far as musical genres are concerned. And Munin says, still curious if she wants revenge. Why is she in her underwear? Well, that's how she's going to suck you in. That's how she's going to trick you. See? Because if you notice, she has one arm behind her back, right? She's like, yeah, come on, I forgive you. Come and get it, right? But then when you look behind her, yeah, watch it, buddy. You know, on this disc, there's a big okey doke on here because you see it's got 12 tracks, right? She Loves Me Not is the last song. There's actually 13. If you leave the disc running like 5 minutes after this song ends, a hidden 13th song will start. Go back down to the DVD section here. I don't have the box for it, so it's in this case, and this is the giant Majin, and it's all 3 films. And the giant Majin is like this big Japanese statue in this village, and the village gets raided, and they go pray to the statue, and it comes to life, and it goes and it stomps all over the invading army and kills everybody. Great stuff. It's hilarious. Gamera, War of the Monster Collection, 6 movies, 6 original Gamera movies on DVD. I used to love this. The Creature double feature on WLVI TV 56 in Boston. Saturday afternoon after the cartoons were over. The cartoons started wrapping up and bowling was coming on. Candlepin bowling usually, or golf. And then you could, you switched over and you'd watch the wrestling for an hour, and then the Creature double feature would come on. Gamera, Friend of Children. Sci-fi Monsters, another Gamera, Night of the Blood Beast, and Attack of the Giant Leeches. And you've probably seen all of these on Mystery Science Theater. Rodan. One of a few Godzilla collections, the Toho collection, volumes 1 and 2, 13 70s Godzilla films. Oh yeah. And then over here, I had to get it separately because I couldn't find it anywhere else. Godzilla vs. Hedorah, or it says the smog monster, but it's Hedorah, the monster that's made out of pollution. And again, my favorite scene is when he stops for a break and he goes up to like a factory and he's smoking with the smokestacks, having a little smoke break. Godzilla vs. Biollante. For the first time on DVD. I'm sure it's been done again. Terror of Mechagodzilla. Another Gamera, Destroy All Planets. And Attack of the Monsters. Gamera, Friend of Children. He spits fire and he sounds like an elephant. A really obnoxious elephant. And then his arms and legs go in, fire comes out, and he spins around somehow and flies into space. King Kong versus Godzilla, the crappy Japanese Godzilla. Or crappy Japanese King Kong, I should say. Not Godzilla necessarily. And what was that? I saw a comment. Munin says, that's her revenge. The people with no patience don't get to hear song 13. The blade was all just for show. Yep. And then the Godzilla collection, and this is all the earliest stuff on here. And it's got 10 of the, I think it's 10 films of the early stuff, including the first one. See? Nice box set. And it's got the sleeve on there too, which is a, you know, a nod to the Japanese style. Like they put these on the vinyl records, they put these on the manga books over there. As we shift around, these are all movies on the bottom row. And Robert loves the original King Kong and Godzilla stuff. Yeah, again, I grew up watching that. Animated films, 9 from Tim Burton. This was actually a pretty interesting movie. Aladdin, and I've got a bunch of Disney stuff in here, but nothing modern. There's no modern Disney DVDs in here. Alice in Wonderland. And I noticed when I looked through here yesterday, I'm missing my Fantasia. And I think LPH might have it. Bambi, Beauty and the Beast, Brother Bear, Chicken Run. That's like a Wallace and Gromit production. Despicable Me, Dumbo, which apparently is not politically correct anymore, so you're not allowed to watch this. Yeah, I know. Dark Crystal, brilliant film. I saw this in the theater when I was a kid. Emperor's New Groove, Iron Giant, which is actually a really good film, I think. Flushed Away, Ice Age. They've made a bunch of those, haven't they? Aren't they on like number 6 or something crazy? James and the Giant Peach, which I read that book when I was a kid. And I think that the storyline here holds pretty true to the book, which Roald Dahl would appreciate because he didn't like his stories to be screwed around with at all. But I think this one's really underrated. And it's in the same format as Nightmare Before Christmas. Cool little movie. Labyrinth, another Jim Henson masterpiece. Lady and the Tramp. Land Before Time. This is another one they made too many versions of. The Lego Movie. Lilo and Stitch. Lion King 1 and 1.5. And you know what the thing is? Disney, like right now, Disney is going through this phase where they're trying to do live action versions of everything. Back in the 90s, Disney went through a phase of making sequels to films that they had made decades earlier that didn't need a sequel because it ended. Like Beauty and the Beast. Or, not Beauty and the Beast, which one am I looking for? Cinderella. Oh, my Cinderella's not in here either. But just as an example, Cinderella, they made 3 of them. They made 2 sequels to Cinderella. The film ended. You don't need a sequel. You don't need a Bambi 2 and 3. You know what I mean? You don't need Aladdin 3, 4, and 5. But they were doing that in the 90s, just making sequels to films that didn't need them. Yeah, what was that comment? John says Dumbo politically incorrect. Now, geez, those jerks. It's the scene with the crows. They're trying to remove it from the film, Disney, so they don't want to offend anybody. But you know, it was an actual singing group that did those crows. It was an actual black singing group that did the crows, and did the made up the voices and whatever. So I mean, what are you crying about? You know how it is. It's unfortunate. Let me see. Munin says my parents are huge fans of the movie number 9. The figures sat on Toys R Us shelves for a while. Now you can't touch them for a fair price. Yep, that is true. Megamind. They had toys for James and the Giant Peach too. You don't see those too often. Little Mermaid, Minions, Monster House, Monsters vs. Aliens 1 and 2, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Cool movie, early 90s. Muppets in Space, which I never saw. And I do have Neverending Story. It's just not here. Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a classic. I used to own props, original movie props from that film. Over the Hedge, Peter Pan, which is nothing like the book in the novel, Peter Pan's a murdering bastard. He's dangerous. Ponyo. Let me pull something out of the back end here because this side's tight. Powerpuff Girls, the movie, which was actually pretty funny. Puss in Boots. Robots. Shrek collection. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the specials. Halloween special. Christmas special. Halloween again. Simpsons movie. Sleeping Beauty. They did a couple of sequels to this too in the 90s. Lego Star Wars, I didn't see that one. I still have it though. Sword in the Stone, and I talked about this one yesterday. Very, very underrated. This film is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's got some incredibly funny scenes in it. It really does. Team America, which utilized the same type of puppet technology as Gerry Anderson's Super Marionettes. Fun movie, kind of vulgar though. Tigger movie. The Tintin movie from Steven Spielberg. Kind of mixed feelings about it because, you know, firstly, it's completely computer generated, and secondly, they took like 4 different Tintin stories and just kind of blurred them together to pad it out to a movie. And, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. My Neighbor Totoro. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, Toy Story 1 and 2 and A Bug's Life. I haven't seen 3. Transformers the movie, which is better than the show. And you know, my wife and I have been rewatching Transformers, the TV series, and the first season was actually pretty bad. And then the second season now, I mean, the music, the continuity, color saturation, movement, it's all pretty bad. The stories are pretty primitive. They're very adolescent, or not even adolescent. It's like it's written for 6-year-olds. But then in the second season, there is some improvement. The continuity's getting better. They're starting to use the music from G.I. Joe now instead of what they were using. Twice Upon a Time, which is a bunch of shorts. And then what's this? Winnie the Pooh and Winnie the Pooh Christmas. All stuffed in there. And then, of course, over here is the Gerry Anderson stuff. We just talked about Gerry Anderson. Gerry Anderson. I've got all of his Super Marionation stuff. And this is, I think this first one is from like, what, 1959? Is that correct? 1959. And that's Supercar. And these are all 39 episodes because, you know, that was a season. And Supercar, of course, is in black and white. The first 2 productions are in black and white, and Gold Key made comic books of some of these. It's kind of primitive and kind of child-oriented, but you can watch the progression of the puppets and the quality of the puppets and the quality of the sets and just the moving away from humor and getting more and more serious as they went on. And you see Fireball XL5 is the next one, and this is like 1962. A lot more sophisticated, better puppets, better sets. They were having a lot of problems with this production because they kept blowing things up. Gerry Anderson loved blowing things up. And of course, if you're not familiar with Gerry Anderson, if you've never seen any of the Super Marionation shows, he also did Space 1999, Space Precinct. He did the special effects for Moonraker and so on. Stingray, which is a submarine. This is fun. The villains in this are hilarious. The villains in this are absolutely hilarious. And my favorite episode is the one with the rock musician, the 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 villain from the underwater kingdom kidnaps a rock musician, and then after talking with him decides to let him go, and his reasons for it are just hilarious without spoiling anything for anybody. Captain Scarlet. Oh man. Captain Scarlet. This is one of those things that you watch and you say, this is for kids? What the hell were they thinking? Yeah, it was a kids show. Very dramatic. 19 we're up to 1967 with this one. With Captain Scarlet, and I've talked about him before. His superpower is that he can be resurrected. So in every episode, he gets killed in very dramatic fashion. Blown up, shot, dropped off a building, burned alive, drowned, name it. He dies. And then he pulls back together and comes back to life, kind of like Highlander. There's no humor at all. See, this one is just kind of funny for little kids. These two are dramatic, but with some humor. There is zero humor in Captain Scarlet. The Secret Service, this is a funny. This one's funny. It's just funny because of the premise. It's a priest who owns a shrinking ray, and he works for MI5, which is like the CIA. I think they said MI5. They didn't have MI6 yet, did they? But he shrinks this agent and carries him around in his briefcase. It's hilarious. And then Joe 90. This is one that I've talked about a few times too. This is fun. You see the little kid in the bubble there. Dad invented this machine that copies the people's brains. It copies their skills. And you put the glasses on and it picks up the transmission from the machine, and you have all the skills of whichever disc you put in while you've got the glasses on. So the kid is a spy. He's 9 years old. It's Joe. You see, the world's greatest secret agent is only 9 years old, Joe 90. And so if they need somebody who's a champion diver, they put the diver disc in. He puts on the glasses, and he's the greatest diver in the world. You get the premise? And yeah, he runs around killing people and stuff in this. Blowing people up, shooting them, because they use him for that kind of stuff. And his dad lets it happen. Terrahawks. Another one that's really fun. I love this. We're getting into the 80s now with Terrahawks. And this is in space. And the Terrahawks are protecting the Earth from a global invasion from aliens. And that's the chief alien there, the woman. She's like their mother or something. It's weird. But another one where the villains are just absolutely hilarious. They're so funny, despite this being a dramatic show. And then you get down to Thunderbirds, which is probably the one you're most familiar with if you live in the United States, because I think this is the only one to cross the pond. And this is all of these are like one season, effectively. It just happens to be a massive box set. You remember in the early days, I never even got to open this one yet, but we'll get to it. My wife and I, we watch all of this stuff together. We share the DVD hobby as well as anything else that we do. They once upon a time were into making massive unnecessary box sets. So like every one of these has like a disc in it. And it wasn't as opposed to, though, for example, we have the Gunsmoke box set, which has all discs, and they're just piled. Like you'll open up a box and there'll be like 15 discs crammed in there, and they're all falling out all over the place and whatever. So even though this takes up a lot of space, I appreciate it. But yeah, you're probably most familiar with Thunderbirds if you're from the United States. And then here's the Thunderbirds movies that accompany the animated show. Super Marionation, everyone. Courtesy of Gerry Anderson. Gerry Anderson. I've told stories about Gerry Anderson before, most famously because of his Space 1999, which I have over here. We haven't got to this section yet, but we'll do this on another day. These are all vintage television shows, all through there. But he's the one where they wanted to purchase the rights for Space 1999 in 1999 to do the show for the new millennium, you know, and the family refused. They said, no, you're just going to screw it up, ruin the legacy. Ruin the legacy. And down here we have movie shorts. And of course, for those of you who are too young to understand what that means, movie shorts are from the time before television, or at least before television was mainstream, when everybody had a TV set. You see, back in the late 20s, early 30s, ultra rich people could afford a TV set, and it was on for a few hours a day, and they read the news or did whatever, but there wasn't a TV in every household. Now, when you went to the movie theater, you would watch a couple of films. It was an all-day event. There'd be a few films playing, and in between them would be shorts. And the shorts were like a TV show. Although a little shorter, they might be anywhere from like 10 minutes to a half hour long, and there might be 10 episodes, 15 episodes all together. And you'd have to go back to the theater every week to watch the next short, and then you never saw this stuff again until it ended up on TV when it was adapted. Like over here, we talked about that with the Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers were all shorts. Pink Panther, Popeye over there. Those were all movie shorts. Droopy, Tom and Jerry, all of that. And they adapted it for television because they were like, wow, we got ready-made TV shows right here. We'll dig the shorts out. Some of this stuff was never seen again until it was found and put to VHS or disc. They got the Adventures of Captain Marvel, 12 amazing episodes. And I always thought this was funny because he just kills people indiscriminately in this. Batman, the 1943, right? Yeah, 1943 movie serial, 15 segments. This is when Wayne Manor is like a 2,000 square foot house with a dugout basement, and it's like you go down the stairs and he's in a cave, and there's like a desk and a chair. I'm not kidding. Batman and Robin, and this is 1949. This is one that you'll be hard pressed to see this anywhere if you don't put it on get it on disc, because it's very anti-Japanese. Because remember, this is right during the war. Flash Gordon 3 serial set, and I know LPH wanting to see this one. Green Archer. Yeah, John says Sunday movie matinee, exactly. King of the Rocket Men. He's not fooling around. He's the king of the Rocket Men. I don't know how he flies and touches the dials on his chest at the same time. The Little Rascals, a.k.a. Our Gang. Another one that was adapted for television. And just like we were talking about with the Marx Brothers there, how it's two different box sets because the studios wouldn't cooperate. This is also two box sets. This is the first 80 shorts from the silent era, because the original ones are silent. You never saw those on TV when you were a kid. You only saw the ones with voice. But it starts with the silent era and goes up into, God, what, the early to mid 30s. And then another studio picked it up. And so the second box set would be the other complete collection. I don't have the second one. I just have this one. The Phantom. Phantom Empire. I believe they've done this one on Mystery Science. That's Gene Autry down there. Radar Man on the Moon, who looks remarkably like the king of the rocket men. See? And I know that Mystery Science has done Radar Men from the Moon. It's 1 and 2. The original theatrical Superman. See the lace-up boots? The original theatrical Superman. And that's Kirk Allen, the original Superman, from the movie serials. Undersea Kingdom. I'm pretty sure Mystery Science has done this one too. Undersea Kingdom. And then the Three Stooges box set collection, the complete Three Stooges Ultimate Collection. This is all 6 Stooges, because of course you had Moe, Larry, and Curly, and then you had Shemp, then you had Joe, and then Curly Joe, as each Stooge fell ill or died. They replaced him until they got to Curly Joe, who was like the worst Stooge, but whatever, because he wouldn't allow the violence, but that's what made the Stooges the Stooges. And this particular box set also contains the Shemp shorts, because there are separate episodes that have, and that's this one right here. It says 28 never before released shorts. Those are shorts starring Shemp without the Stooges. And they're actually pretty damn funny. And that brings us to the end of these bookshelves. The end of these bookshelves. Physical media, ladies and gentlemen. Physical media is where it's at. So we've gone through those. We've gone through these again because of the glitch. You know how it is. And hopefully there won't be another issue. Hopefully there will not be another issue. And next time, I don't know when that will be, but next time we do DVDs rather, we can get into the television shows. And I've got a lot of other stuff too. You know, I've got tons of vintage video games, video game equipment, stuff like that all through here. Those are not cat litter. Those boxes actually have comic books in them. I know I've been asked about other music. Of course, we've got tons and tons of albums. It's not even funny. But hey, guys, hope you enjoyed the trip down memory lane. All of these shows that you may remember. Maybe you've seen something here that you didn't know existed, and it might inspire you to check it out. So with that, I'll go ahead and sign off. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Glad you could join us here today. And I will catch you again some other time.